right?
There's two worlds here. The one with the speaking with the angels and the spiritual attributes of his work, and then the Princess Diana work that he's done.
And his voice coaching.
Oh, yeah.
I loved hearing about that. And, I think I liked more his insightful questions. You can get kind of celebrity struck, but he was not in that realm.
No, he was
in
not.
Why was she here? Why was the impact so great? And that's the energy
and
of
later,
what's driving his work.
He also opened up to us later that when he interviewed Princess Di, he was one of the few that promised a total
confidentiality.
Yeah, right. He was not going to release any to the press. So in that, he got a lot more of her spiritual insights and who she was and all of that.
I think what I love the most as well is how he's wanting to do workshops for women so that they can step into their power.
That's
how
right.
beautiful is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you again, Stuart, for being part of this show. And I also said something else too. Just listening to him, I feel like I'm smarter. he has that way of talking.
Yeah, he has such a beautiful and rich vocabulary.
He really does.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and great expression. So we're going to move to the Circle of 12, and let's continue to send our love and energy and compassion out into the world, because so many are in trouble right now and may not have the tools that you have in able to overcome their fears and anxieties. So I invite you to close your eyes and let's spend just a moment or two connecting our hearts with each other even more. And together, let us send the sensation and feelings of being at peace out towards everyone on the planet, radiating the tranquil peace that is our natural state of being. We send a wave of peace and benevolence to all our brothers and sisters across the planet so that they can receive a bubble of peace, a bubble of benevolence floating down to wrap around them in this moment. And there is nothing more to do with our collective intent of sending peace except to sit here now and receive that returning wave of peace coming back into you, pressing into your heart, pressing into the cells of your body, pressing in to the innate, connecting in that you are at complete peace. And in this state of peace and tranquility and calmness, we invite the beautiful message from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon. Come a little closer. The invitation to come closer is a metaphor, and we've said this before. Coming closer means become more spiritually intimate. And what that would mean is that you would start thinking of your own spirituality in a more personal way than simply perhaps a doctrine or rules or what you think you know or what you don't know. It says to come closer to it so that you can hear it breathe, so that the spirituality becomes part of you and personal. Truly personal. We have told you over and over that these journeys we take you on have a purpose. And the purpose is to awaken you and the potential that perhaps there's more than you know about that which you've learned is the creative source, God or Spirit. What if everything you have been told is grander than what you've been told? What if it is more expansive than anything that you think you know? And in that, a revelation that as God expands in your purview, and if you are able to know more and see more and be more aware, that the revelation is that you, your soul, also is expansive. It goes with the expansion of spirit. What if you were actually part of that which you call God? That is so controversial. All over the planet, they will point at you and say, how dare you would say such a thing? Don't you know the grandness is God and you are not? And that is what is often taught. There are so many beautiful systems of love on this planet that talk about how much God is loving and how much love can pour from this creative source and how grand and beautiful and great it is. And then in the next statement they'd say, and of course, you are not. That is the prevailing attitude of most of the teaching. And then we come along and say, isn't it time to start looking at spiritual logic? God created you. He did not create you imperfect. He did not create you perfect and then you became imperfect, which is the story. He did not create you magnificent and then judge you on something you did. That is the story. What if you are a magnificent, perfect soul and have stayed that way since birth, and now it is time to discover it? You come to this planet and there are tests, dear ones, of course. It's why the struggle is there. The struggle to find peace when perhaps there's not, or to heal your body at a time when it's needed. A time to get out of stress and fear. These are the times that we said were coming. A time when you had to make some choices and decisions about light, about love. And the ones listening are old souls. The graduates of this test are old souls. You have been here the longest, lifetime after lifetime, experienced the most, and still you may not feel prepared for what is next. And so we say to you, that is why we are here, because it's time to unwrap your magnificence. Perhaps like a gift you didn't know you had. Something that has always been inside and with you, that you perhaps have been told isn't there, or you've denied yourself because you weren't aware of it or didn't feel it or didn't believe it. It's always been there. A way into the light has always been there, but now, in these times, the tools have arrived. And that is, again, why we take you across the bridge. I would like to talk about angels. There are so many of those who have been revealed on this particular program as healers, who talk about angelic entities. And some are extremely metaphysical and have been all their lives, and some have come from corporate. Some are scientists. But at some level, a light is turned on, or they see something they don't understand, and it's an angelic being or form or energy that starts to give them information and change everything they believe. That's what happened to my partner. That's what's happened to so many of these who speak on this show. What is your perception of an angel? We have spoken of this before, but not exactly like this. If you believe in angels, do you have one? Now that's interesting. In other words, does one of them belong to you? Belong to you, assigned to you, anything you want to say. Let's call it what it is. Do you believe you personally have a guide? Now, if you do, that's angelic. So you can't say, well, I have a guide, but it's not an angel. You don't know what you have, dear ones. That multidimensional energy of glory and greatness and love and light is everything. It's all those things. It's a guide. It's an angel. It's more. Some of it's even part of you. How many of you believe you have guides? And how many do you think you might have? So collectively, let's say you believe that there are guides and angels that work with you. How would you like to meet them? What's your perception of going across the bridge? I would like to take you across this bridge. I would like you to experience something that you may not expect. I would like to give you some information you may not expect, but it won't be here in this 3D world. It's going to be across the bridge in a moment, where you drop the duality as you go into your own temple, where you stop thinking about the things that are happening to you or that you worry about. There are so many who have said, when I go to the Circle of 12, I feel good. I feel untouchable. This is pure love, and I know it, and I feel it, and I am it. So you know what's going on there. Now, whether you can sustain that or not, that is a test. And that is a test that is solvable through practice. And we've said this before. It's not as much of a test as it is a school. How can you take that energy and become it? So when you cross the bridge back into your own home and your own life, you're taking a big piece and part of that which you didn't know before and know now with you. And so you become more peaceful. And there's a greater chance for you to heal than ever before, even live a longer life because of that. That's what this is about. But in the process, what if you learn some things that would take your breath away, that no doctrine is ever going to tell you? Core truths that have always been hidden that are really part of you. You take a look at this bridge. Over 50 times we have crossed this with you, and we will continue to do it. If you're new to this, this is a bridge that spans a chasm between the known and the unknown, between 3D and multi-D. It's necessary as a metaphor that you cross it on purpose, with permission. And you say, I want to know what's on the other side of me. Let's go there now. Those who have done this so many times before, we come to that bridge, we even start to cross it. There perhaps is a mist that obfuscates what's on the other side or not. But you come more familiar with it, and now there is no fear, and you say, I know what's on the other side. Peace, let's go, let's go. And for those who are the first time, let those around you, watching this right now, share with you in a multidimensional way that it is okay, and it's peaceful, and it's natural, and it's real. In fact, it's more real than this side. Take my hand. Let's cross together. You enter into that which we have said is the essence of you, your soul, all of you, not a piece of it. You are living life as a piece of your soul, a three-dimensional piece, without even the knowledge of how grand you are. The core truth is that you have come from the creative source. You will return to the creative source. But while you on earth, you can tap in to all that is beautiful. This energy on this side of the bridge is the most powerful, glorious, loving energy that exists. And it's part of you, it's part of God. There's a theater I'd love for you to go into with me. The same one every time, you might say. Not exactly. This multidimensional area, this place, this energy you're in features many theaters. We've walked into them and said there was one. But there isn't. There's as many as we wish there to be, at any size we wish them to be, containing any audience we wish to have there. And this one's special. Angels and guides. How would you like to meet yours? And at the same time have a really startling revelation. I want you to go through that door, that portal perhaps that has your name on it, which is a metaphor that says, I give permission for this event. That's what the door is. It's like you sign a little contract that says, yes, I'm okay to go in this door. And with that, the intent is there for you to experience something that is very different, that is multidimensional, that you will never have happen on the other side of the bridge where you've come from. Come to this theater, dear ones, and you look upon it, you're not really sure because it's dark. How many seats are there this time? We're going to meet guides and angels now. We've told you that. So how many of them will there be? Well, there are sayings that you can put 1,000 angels, 1,000,000 angels on the head of a pin. So there's many of them, wouldn't you say? We're going to meet yours. Go down the steps and up the steps onto the stage, that theater in the round. The lights come on the stage, not in the theater yet. There is a chair. That tells you something. It always does. Something is going to happen where you're going to relax while it happens. You're not on the spot here. And so you go to that chair and you sit and you are ready to meet the angels and the guides. Now here comes some questions for you, some revelations for you, some realizations for you, and many things perhaps you cannot even answer. Do you acknowledge, dear one, as you sit there, that there have been helpers from the other side with you in your life? Do you acknowledge, dear one, as you sit there, that there are helpers, angels, perhaps guides, that are willing to expand on all of that now that you're here and now that you're sitting with them in a soul place that may then facilitate everything you've come for healings, for solutions to life issues, things that you think are unsolvable, and they have the answers. My partner has had this happen to him repeatedly. There is nothing that cannot be solved. And they are always there to take your hand and work with you if you'll allow it. You want to meet them? Before you do, here is the biggest question of all. Old soul, you've lived many, many lives. How many angels and guides are there? If you add them all up from all of your lives, there would be a lot, would there not? So let's expose them in the audience. How many of there are you, angelic ones, as the light comes on and you look around and you see nothing? Oh, wait a minute, there's the front row. And there's really less than 20 of them. What does this mean? There's less than 20 of them. How could there be less than 20 of them? And here's the revelation. Every single one of those has accompanied that single soul of yours every lifetime. They are the same ones. No one knows you like they do. And you're going to see them stand right now and they are coming on stage. They are stepping up, going up the stairs, and they come forward to you. And you're starting to feel an angelic presence. I don't think you could stand if you needed to. The area is thick with the love of God and the love of purpose as you start to meet and recognize those few who have journeyed with you every single lifetime as long as you have been on earth. The same ones. The colors are the same. The names may be the same. You know them since birth. As a tiny infant, you may have awakened and said, thank you for being with me yet again. You're the only friends I recognize, and I'll get through this. And what happens next, dear ones, I want you to know. Sit there, because they are going to surround you right now, the ones that have been with you every single lifetime, and they're stretching out their hands to you. And if they have one message to you, it's this one. Welcome to a place you've never been before. Welcome to a place where we can love and touch you, unencumbered by your fears and your duality. You crossed the bridge to be here, now let us work. Let us do things we never could have done in any of your lifetimes. Welcome to the greatest lifetime you've ever had. That is the message. Can you sit and feel this love, adoration for all that you are and the work that you have accomplished on this planet? And can you sit and say, I accept the healing I came for and the solutions?
Interested in no deep personal questions about your life story and situation, and we're not therapists. We can only give you what information Kryon gives us. And make your questions short and concise. So our first question is from Claudia. Claudia is from Austria. Guten Tag, Claudia. So she's saying, whenever I have a problem or I have a topic where I need a solution, I now find it very helpful to sit in the circle of 12 and I invite the suitable persons or energies that will give me support or the advice that I need. It feels appropriate. And Claudia is asking, is this okay to do so? What a beautiful question, Claudia. And Lee, I think highly evolved soul.
Well, honestly, folks, I didn't write the question and put it in the group because it sounds like a question that I would love to have answered. And she is asking something that we teach. Of course it's okay.
Yeah.
I say this because the teaching of all the Circle of 12 has been like this. We've told you even in the channels this month, I think it was even last week, when Kryon said that the Circle of 12 is not a meditation. It's not an experience. It's an example of life. I'm going to call it an active meditation. And what this truly means is that you are taking the Circle of 12 and applying it to the way you live. This is the whole purpose of this. So, over a period of a year, in all of these Circle of 12s, and sometimes Kryon will do a very similar one, sometimes even twice, there are many groups in the Circle of 12 that you're asked to meet and interact with. Sometimes they're healers, sometimes it's your Akash, whatever. These are soul groups, you might say, or people you knew or didn't. And so she is saying, is it okay to select the ones that helped me the most or felt the best, and then pull them in to situations or whatever to help me? And the answer is, this is what the design is. Yes, dear. Thank you so much, Claudia, for asking this question. And yes, yes, and yes.
How beautiful.
Yeah.
So we have another question. This one is from Natasha. Natasha is in Sao Paulo in Brazil. And she's saying that I keep talking to myself, to innate and spirit, and I don't seem to get the answers. I have 100% belief in the process, but it seems that I am stuck in the same place. Why?
You know, Natasha, this has been answered from others. We've done this a couple of times. The reason we continue to bring up the same kinds of questions from other people is because there's a lot of new people who need to hear these kinds of answers. But honestly, that index will also take you to some of these same answers that I'm going to give now. But here it is again. Natasha, you may have 100% belief, but it's not enough. Is belief enough? No. It is not enough. You have to, what we will call, cognize it. You got to own the belief more than just, I believe it. You've got to paste it on yourself as the truth of the way things work. So we answered this, I think, maybe 2 other times. I will say you have to own the experience. And this is not to make you less than or wrong, because this is what we all have had to learn, including myself. Now, the interesting part of this is some of us learn it in a very difficult way. In other words, you'll have an emergency. And you may believe in God and all these things, and suddenly there's an emergency, and everything snaps into focus, and you say, please help me, and bam, there's help. And you realize, like, where were you all this time? And the answer was, now you really have believed it, and it's almost like you're at your last string. We don't want you to have to go there. That's the whole point. Now we're asking you to believe in this, not believe it, but believe in this. When I talk to my cells, I consider them a friend. I am not talking to a group of chemistry. I'm talking to a friend. So when you talk to a friend, you constantly check to see that the friend is listening. Two friends in a room talking to each other in a beautiful way, perhaps. You don't keep checking to see if they're listening or if they're asleep. No, you talk personally to them. That means you own the concept that you're with a friend and they're listening. So do you see the difference between believing that and owning the concept that the friend is actually there and listening? It truly is a cognizing of the experience. Now, this month, Kryon is giving a series of channels about the innate, and he's given one already. He's going to give another one in a moment. And we know that because he started out saying that this is going to be part of it. Now, the innate is part of the answer that you're asking for, because it's the smart body, and it's that which is listening, and that's what we talk about a lot. So you can listen to these 4 channels and perhaps even glean more information than you would have otherwise. So I hope that helps. But I would say that particular question, asked over and over, shows the process we are going through between believing that something exists or believing in something or owning the belief so much that it's part of you. And it's like studying physics. It's there in your face all the time, and you use it. It's like gravity. You believe in gravity, but you have to own it because you're working with it every single day. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think it's also, if I remember back to another question, we get frustrated when we want results. We have this expectation of what the result looks like. And I remember you answering a different question, and it was more about, you don't know what you're not seeing as a result of talking to Innate. So you might have this expectation, but what's happening is totally different to what you might expect. And it means that it's not getting worse if you have this condition and you want that to be healed. Maybe part of it is just not getting it worse until it's going to get better.
And we didn't even answer the answer to, what do you do about it?
Yeah.
And that's the next thing. That's the Circle of 12 is about this, is getting into a state of mind where it comes into your body, you have this aha, it's real. Yeah. And that aha creeps in so that you start seeing results. It isn't instant. Please understand this. Yeah. I worked a long time to get to the place where I could talk to my cells and I knew absolutely they were listening, and that I knew the result would happen. There was no question.
I think the key here is to please keep that courage up, keep persisting, keep going ahead, and one day you'll have this magical moment where everything snaps into place. That's
the way it works. It's supposed to like learning when you're starting learning a concept, and there comes a point when you go, oh,
that's right.
I got it.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, we're going to do one more question. This is from Francisco from Sweden. And his question is, why the veil? I love it, Francisco. You're a man of many words. Actually, this is probably the shortest question we have had. However, I think, Lee, you're going to have a long answer to that short question.
You know, it's like he asked, what's the meaning of life?
Yes, in 3 words.
In 3 words, I love that. Are all the Swedes that way?
Yes,
very
many
good.
words.
Let's fill in the blanks for those who want to know what Francisco was really asking if you don't understand what the veil is. He's asking, why is it necessary to have a metaphoric veil between the Creator, God, and us, humanity? If God loves us so much, why would there be this separation? That's a great question. Again, what is the meaning of life? Why does that even have to happen? What we're told is our Earth is some kind of a school, a vibrational school. It's a school where we're trying to discover a higher consciousness. And we got to do it ourselves, and we have to do it on our own. It's filled with tests for this. We come over and over as tests for this, and we keep coming and going and learning and learning. Now, Kryon didn't make this up. I didn't make this up. This is right from even the first organized religion on the planet, Hinduism, and that's the whole premise of that, and even before that. Even the indigenous had that perception of what life was about. So we have to develop the answer ourselves to make it work, and the result is a higher vibrating Earth. That is truly what is happening. You might say, I don't see any result of it. I look out the window and we're in lockdown and we're in this and that. We are going through the big test right now. Kryon said we would. He said, here it comes. After the 2012 experience, he said there are things coming. They're going to test you. It's going to test the planet. And I thought it'd be war. And it isn't. But it's like it. Like everything stops without the killing. So we are in this test right now. We can't have the answers to these tests passed to us or like pasted on the walls of the school. They can't be given to us. And yet, they are there for us to find. They are. They're not for us to develop. They're there for us to find with a higher consciousness, and in they come. Kryon said one thing I'll never forget. He said, if there were no veil, he said, it'd be like turning on the lights and everybody would just go home. In other words, there would be no test. That's a metaphor. That means that there would be no school. There'd be no learning. Kryon also said that the human school of compassion and light on this planet will create a vibrational change eventually in places we cannot even imagine. Are you ready? This is very esoteric. In other parts of the galaxy. What we accomplish here is carried on to other parts of the galaxy. This is extremely important. This test is not so Earth is some kind of a victim. This is profound, it's majestic, it's magnificent, and the planet is starting to pull itself out of where it has been. And I've given chapter and verse of that, and we've given over and over the attributes of what's going on the planet for you to look at that haven't happened in hundreds of years. It truly is an awakening, including the number of people who decide to tune in to a program like this, an esoteric program, even with channeling, a lot more than ever would have done that perhaps 20 years ago. This has to happen with free will, and makes this graduation from the school so grand when it happens. Believe me, there's obviously some kind of a sacred system that needs to be there so we can find the light ourselves, which actually, I think, makes us part of that creation. And that's truly what's coming next, I believe, is that we will see eventually that we have created a better galaxy, a better universe through what we do here. That's really esoteric, but that's the answer I have.
That's beautiful.
It's from Kryon.
That is beautiful. And it reminds me how some of the stories I hear from people in the Circle of 12 where they have an epiphany and they heal a relationship in the family with one member and the whole dynamics of the family change. Mm-hmm. And so you just said it in a more, even further than that. Yeah. What we do here on Earth, the galactic family changes. So how amazing is that? And with that awe and amazement, let's do a meditation and hear a little more from Kryon about Innate. And as we prepare that space where we can receive the loving message from Kryon and the loving energies that pour forth, there really isn't anything to do. It's simply inviting you to close your eyes and tune in to the internal world that you have. Tune in to the energy of your heart. Without any effort, it's constantly beating throughout the day and evening without you even thinking about it. And let's send a wave of love and gratitude to our beautiful heart for continuing to always beat without us even thinking about it. And in that same level of gratitude, appreciation and thanks, let's send a hug to our innate. Within our body, we have a smart body that is always listening to our instructions. It's part of a beautiful system of enablement and healing that we have. And so we're just sending thanks to Innate. And we ask Innate to deliver the correct chemistry that we need for our body. And so thank you, Innate, for sending the correct chemistry that we need for our bodies. And with that acknowledgement and thanks and that internal reflection that we have, let us now listen to the message from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. So we continue the discussion about Innate. Now, if you've been following this discussion, and perhaps if you were one who participated in the Circle of 12 the last time, you know a little more about Innate than you did before. But these 4 channels will all be together for free, and you'll be able to see all of the amazing attributes that we are discussing about perhaps one of the most misunderstood energies, if you wish to call it that, in the human body. When we started, we discussed what is innate. Innate is the name given for smart body. It is what responds to that which you call kinesiology. It is that which has the processes which operate with instruction sets given to the body through all manner of processes, including homeopathy. Innate is spectacular. Innate can do so many things. In the second session, we discussed where is it. Now, you might say it doesn't really matter if it works where it is, and yet to some who wish to intellectualize all things metaphysical, they want to know. Is innate, for instance, in the brain? Is it in the cells? Is innate in the heart? Is it in the DNA? Or more? There have been those who would say, well, it has to be in the pineal. There are those who have said, well, it has to be certain areas in order for it to know so many things. So let me reveal something we revealed to the membership, and that was last week. We revealed to the membership that innate is actually part of your soul. It comes with the package and must be there because of the way it works with things such as your Akashic record. When we get to the 4th amazing attribute of innate, you will see some things that we will give you that are not very well known. And some of you will have an aha. Now I understand how it can do what it does. So this third information package is about innate, and it goes like this. How do we use it? If indeed there is an energy that exists within the body, around the body, wherever, that can actually change processes so greatly you can cause spontaneous remission, if that exists, how can I work with it? What can I do to create a camaraderie, a friendship, a meld with that kind of energy? I would say the first thing I want you to know and visualize is this. It's not apart from you. Innate is you. It's part of the package, but it's separated much like spirit is separated with a veil. They've called it the smart body for a reason. It knows things that you do not. When you start to ask innate about things, chemistry especially, it responds. Innate knows the things that you're allergic to without testing. Innate knows so many more things about what you don't, specifically what you might need. Innate knows what kind of food you might respond to better than others, since you're all different. But you don't. And so you might say that there is a separation between you. So the first instruction is this. In your mind, eliminate the separation. So when you start to work with innate, which we're going to discuss, work with it as though it is in you, next to you, staring you in the face, and you're talking to it. Whereas when some talk to that which they consider God, there is this protocol. There is no protocol with innate. It sits there listening and ready to work with you. Innate working parts, that is to say, how it works with you, we have discussed for more than 20 years. Talk to yourselves. Talk to yourselves. Now that is an instruction for you that says innate listens, and you're talking to innate. Even though we're saying the metaphor of talk to yourselves, we are saying talk to innate. Do you understand why we changed that verbalization, that nomenclature? Because if for 20 years we said talk to innate, people would be saying, I don't know what it is. If we say talk to yourselves, they do. But it is the same. Is it possible that innate will respond to your instructions? If it is, why are so many having difficulty and saying, well, I don't think it works? Now we get into a realm that is controversial. And it has to do with cognizing reality. If you jump on the air, what's going to happen? You're going to come right back down. Let's say to you, me to you, why? And you say, that is gravity. And that is what we have used before as an example because it's cognized. It's part of your life and you believe it. Nobody had to say, well, you know, there's a force which pulls you down, and if you jump up, it's going to pull you down. And you had to say, well, I'm not really sure you're right. I think I'll try it. Nobody says that because, you see, you already know. So it comes down to cognizing whether you believe this is real or not. It's not believing in it. It's making it so real, like gravity, that there's absolutely no question. So when you speak to yourselves or your body, again, it's like you had a menu from a restaurant and you're ordering. And innate is sitting there with a towel on its hand, ready to take your order. And there's no question that the order is going to come. And it'll be just like you ordered it. But so many are treating this apart from themselves that they don't understand it and they don't get it. So let me give you an example yet again, and then something that is really controversial, something we have never said before, that exemplifies even how the ancients knew this and used it. The placebo effect, and we described that in the first week, is that which happens when a drug company gives you a pill and says, here is what it's for. You have a problem that needs to be fixed. It says, here is the pill to fix it. You take it, and it's fixed. And almost overnight, you are healed. The pill worked. You say, thank you very much. You find out later there was nothing in it. It was called a placebo. So what happened there? You cognized from an authority that the pill would work. Therefore, the cognizing became your reality. If I take the pill, it'll work. You took the pill, it worked, and there was nothing in the pill. Are you getting this? So your belief was so strong in what you did, even though there was no chemistry in the pill, you gave instructions to your innate to fix the issue. I will now open a subject of controversy. Very smart and wise shamans in the past knew exactly how humans think. Those in the village who were supposed to heal and using magic would then concoct certain solutions or certain attributes or exercises where they said, this will absolutely cure you from what you have experienced. And the individual would come in and take those potions and sit and do whatever it was and rotate 3 times and look at the moon and whatever. And the shaman was there working with them the whole time saying, yes, good, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And then it did, and they were fully cured. And the shaman smiles, knowing that none of those things worked. The potions didn't even taste good. They weren't supposed to. Facing the moon, it didn't work at all. Going into the circle in the ceremony, it was fun, but it had nothing to do with healing. What it had to do with was cognizing. It was a sugar-coated pill. Story after story about the indigenous doing the magic that they did, especially for healing. Call the witch doctor, they would say, which was simply another name for the indigenous shaman of the day. And they would come in and they would do their thing. And the people would say, I needed this, and now I'll be healed. And they would walk away, and they were healed. They were experts in creating a cognizing human being to heal themselves using that wonderful, amazing part of your body called innate. What is this for you? Become the shaman and understand that this, whatever you do, is going to work. And that you no longer need to be tricked with a sugar-coated pill. You can go right to the source and say, Dear innate, here is what we're doing today. This needs to be worked on. This needs to be healed. This doesn't need to be sore anymore. You can advance your healing. You can have better night's sleep. You can cancel the aging of your body to the extent it is now, all through innate. But you don't try. You do. You've heard that before. That's how you work with the amazing innate. And so it is.
And very softly, very gently, bring your awareness back into your body. If you've had your eyes closed, I invite you to open your eyes and settle more into your body. Bring your awareness into the room. And we want you to be fully present as we connect with another beautiful soul that is communicating with the angelic realm and bringing us beautiful information. It's a gorgeous gentleman by the name of Stuart Pearce. And Stuart, are you there?
I am. I'm very much right here.
Wonderful. Well,
Did you hear that voice?
we have had the honor of being on one of Stuart's programs. So
Yes.
it's so wonderful to have you now on our show and share you with our beautiful community.
It's
Oh, thank you. It's a great honor to be here, really, truly. Very, very special. I've been looking forward to this for some time. So thank you so much for the invitation. A great honor.
Wonderful.
For those of you who are queuing in, this is a beautiful English gentleman and a very eloquent speaker. You're about ready to find out why, if you are enamored with the quality of his voice and all. I'll tell you why. He's called a master of voice. He's trained as a voice master. He's a spiritual teacher, of course. That's why he's here. Radiance coach and angelic emissary. That's a lot. He's born in London, of course, the UK, trained as an actor teacher. It tells you a lot about why he sounds the way he does and has the eloquence he does. He worked in repertory theater during the 70s. Then in the 80s, his practice as a voice coach began to take off at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama.
So Stuart then became the head of voice at the prestigious Webber Douglas Academy of Dramatic Art. That was from 1981 to 1997. And during that time, he also worked tirelessly throughout the theatre industry at the Actors Centre in West End of London, and as a coach with many major companies such as the Actors Touring Company.
He has coached actors and statespeople. Now, here's where it gets good. To name just a few, a very few, because the list is long, and I've just selected some of these, such as Vanessa Redgrave, Michelle Williams, Margaret Thatcher, and, ready, Diana, Princess of Wales, and Marianne Williamson. Stuart has published a series of self-empowerment books. One in particular you may recognize, or you won't, you will later. This newest work, Diana, the Voice of Change. This is a bestseller. This is taking off. It became an Amazon bestseller right away in January 2020. And now it was published for us, New York City, during June of 2021. So this, I believe, is something that is going to take off even more. And Stuart, not only just welcome to the program, but would you fill us in just a little bit of how you went from repertory theater and voice coaching to talking with the angels of Atlantis?
Well, thank you, Lee. I mean, the point is that I've always been aware of the multidimensional universe, and we are of a certain age, you know, I know like yourself, where there was a great shift in 97 for you. My shift was really in 87, when I was able to bridge the world of mysticism with the world of the temporal existence, working with people in positions of prominence. For example, walking into Downing Street or the White House, one doesn't necessarily say, "Hi, I see angels." there's a certain code of conduct, a certain linguistic. I'm sure everybody will will appreciate what I'm talking about. So I've always kept the two worlds different, separate, until I was drawn to, in 1997, to be part of a team of people which was drawn together to create the reconstruction of Shakespeare's Globe Theatre, to literally work within a sacred geometric chamber, which was a reconstruction of the theatre that would have been there in 1597. And the theatre sits on 7 converging ley lines and is directly opposite St. Paul's Cathedral on the south bank of the River Thames, which is, of course, as we know, the Earth Star chakra of the world. And so as a result of that, there was a huge firmament of energy pouring through the project and pouring into our bodies to allow us to become fully aligned with the nature of the fact that we are supernatural beings. And as a result of that, I woke up to the fact that I could then come out of the mystical closet and start sharing very broadly at the time that you were sharing the wonders of Kryon, 97. That's when I really began to teach what the angels had given me in 1987.
Well, what are the angels of Atlantis? How did it get to that?
I'd always heard about this extraordinary host of angels known as the Malakim, a Kabbalistic word meaning the royal angels, those angels that overlight the Malkai Zedek, the priest kings, the priest queens, in other words, the Great White Brotherhood or the Great White Sisterhood. So I'd heard about these beings, but it was actually in 1987 during the harmonic convergence. I'd awoken in the early 80s to see again the multidimensional universe. I sort of switched it down because of needing to learn a 3D language. As a child, I found it very difficult to learn. I spent most of my time in the buoyancy and the wonder and the awe of the multidimensional universe with the angels. But of course, that wasn't appropriate for my caregivers. So I found a way of being able to speak a 3D language, fell into acting because it seemed that academically I was not inclined. And most people were saying, there's something about your voice. There's something about your voice. Why don't you become an actor? And lo and behold, I had a meager talent. So I became an actor through the 70s. And of course, as soon as we move into that level of athleticism, right at the core of great acting is a truth of feeling statement. And if there is something that we're all trying to uphold and aspire to, is absolute truth at this time. So it all fits in. It's just sort of finding ways of joining the dots. So I woke to my mediumship. I woke to the ability of high level and high defined psyche. But it was in 1987 when a friend of mine said, why don't you come to my crystal store in Glastonbury, one of the great centers of the world, and there's going to be this unique event called the Harmonic Convergence. And I said, wow, what's that? Well, come and join us because something remarkable is going to happen. And you're really good at giving people whatever they need in a very synthesized way from a psychic point of view. So come and give psychic readings and then let's see what happens. And so I thought, well, this sounds like fun. I loved the friend very, very much. I adore crystals, of course. And so there I was working all the way through the morning in the crystal store. And as I reached lunchtime, I thought it's time to go and meditate. I'm going to go onto the tour because I was beginning to feel the effervescence of the energies that were evoked during the remarkability of the harmonic convergence. So I went and sat on the tour and started meditating. Of course, by this time I'd been to India, so I'd learned all about meditation, And then I was meditating.
I know very much. Very, very good.
It was all terribly, wonderful. Anyway. And I knew this was a way of being able to really tune into stillness as a gateway into the numinous, and to prepare my own electrical being to receive. So there I was meditating, and out of the blue, so to speak, I heard these extraordinary sounds, these harmonic overtones, a celestial chorus, and I opened my eyes, and in front of me, some ways off, on the high hill of the Tor in Celtic means high sacred hill, I saw these huge orbs of light that were 8, 9, 10 feet in diameter, spinning, different colors. And I heard a voice that I remember hearing as a child, deep within me. So it wasn't something that I heard on the outside. It was an inner auditory impulse, this voice which I knew as a child as Archangel Michael saying, we are here as the angels of Atlantis. We are a brethren of 12. We come at this time because the world is about to move through a great renaissance. And we wish you to be our emissary. We will now teach you for the next 10 years.
I love that. I don't know if you're aware that, and the dates may be a little different than what's on your sheet. I actually started Kryon in 89.
In 89, I beg your pardon.
That was just 2 years after this awakening to you. So I think the message that I got is what you got. There was a lot of that kind of message going on. I have one of my questions, and you may answer this even before I ask. Why are there 12, in your opinion?
It's interesting, isn't it? It's a very extraordinary vibration. I'm taught that it is the universal resonance frequency. So we're moving from the configuration of 7, the planetary resonance frequency, into recognizing that we are interplanetary beings. And of course, we know the 12 disciples, the 12 major meridians, the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 tribes of Israel, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. So it's evidently a very unique configuration. And of course, as we know in ancient numerology, 1 and 2 is 3, and 3 is the number behind all manifestation, all creativity, all great things happen in threes.
This is what we teach, and it's so fun for me to sit there and listen to a video that I made some time ago now with that very list of things. And the list goes on. DNA is a series of 4s and 3. It's endless. So I had to ask that question. What are they teaching? These
the embodiment of sound, the embodiment of the logos, and so that we all remember our soul's note. And as a result of remembering our soul's note, we move into our divine blueprint. We know that sound is at the core of creation, and that within us, each of us, is a sound which is unique to each and every one of us. It's the signature note of our being, the soul's note, that arises right out of our hearts. So effectively, in singularity, that's what I do around the world. I tune people into their notes.
Do you feel that there is now a quickening that is beginning to happen, and that more of us that awaken has a follow-on effect that creates that being awakening across the planet? And how does that fit into your knowledge that you have, that you are sharing now?
The 100th monkey syndrome is what I'm reminded of in this moment. I believe totally that we are all one. It appears that we have been taught to be separate, but I believe that we are all one, and that when we tune into the empathic counsel of our hearts, and when we tune the sound of our note, our soul's note through our heart, that the heart is the seat of the soul, we bring ourselves back into frequency. And when we bring ourselves back into frequency, we automatically bring ourselves into the collective empathic union of our peoples and the other terrestrial beings, extra or ultra-terrestrial, that we are in connection with.
How much of this is audible sound? Are we talking about real sound as we sense it in the air?
I believe so, yes. I mean, much of it is extra sensory, but I believe that what I'm talking about is the way that sound as a vibrational union can bring us into the confluence and the congruence of our hearts. I mean, we all know that the heart has an energy field 5,000 times greater than the human brain. So if we're actually all joining together through heart congress, through a unified sound, a harmonized sound, whether it be the ah or the om, then automatically we begin to resonate on an empathic communion orientation. And that's, I believe, what the quickening is all about. If I can give a small demonstration
Please do.
Of where the world is configured right now. And what automatically happens is that I go right into here. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so, I mean, I've suddenly changed the whole of my vibration. And, I mean, this is happening all over the world. You know, this is the currency of the way we speak. I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to come back into the center of my voice and into my note. So I believe that we do that simply because we have been exercised, socialized, educated, and conditioned into doing, and purely operating through the mechanistic, cerebral level of our consciousness. If you like, much of the work that I do is about awakening people to our metaphoric consciousness, that feeling is the language of the soul, and that when we're using our voices to communicate this, we become truly transcendent.
Okay, you've used the word over and over, and I'm catching it. Empath, empathy. How is this fitting in to all that you're talking about?
Oh, goodness, heaven knows. So I believe that what we've just begun is the revolution of the empaths. I believe that what is actually happening is that we're being activated in the way that Monica was referring to, this quickening, this universal awakening, that the instrument of COVID may have taken us into deep social isolation. But at the same time, all of we people who consider ourselves as spiritual initiates, we realize that we will be being given a unique opportunity to fold into the voices in the stillness, that the divine lives within the stillness, and that if we could quieten ourselves through meditation or through the simple practice of stillness, particularly within the world and the wonder of Mother Nature, we could key into the great teachings that are pouring forth at this time.
I love that you talk about each human having that unique sound and that voice and the awakening that comes with it. It really puts to my mind how you can have a beautiful instrument, a cello, a violin, and I just adore the sound of that one instrument. But when you create a symphony together, everyone all at the same time in the harmony, the voice you get, the sound you get is exquisite. And that's what I am perceiving through your work, that as each one awakens, because we're now moving out of the separate one into the oneness that you talked about, and having all of those voices play together, the ones that get awakened. Is that how you perceive it as well, instead of going from that single instrument or into melding to that beautiful symphony?
Because, we are unique. That doesn't mean to say that we're separate from one another. There is a perceived separation, but I believe that we are all unique. But what is unique is that we are all instruments of the divine, and we're listening posts in oceans of sound. And when we bring our uniqueness forward with the strength, the courage, the forthrightness, the empowerment of the I am presence within us, when we link in the harmonic embrace, whether it be through a shared intention or a vocalized intention, this can be spoken or chanted, that something extraordinary happens. I've seen this over the years all over the world when I've worked. For example, I was being reminded only yesterday of a project that I was part of in Israel, in the Gaza Strip, of bringing young Israelis and young Palestinian people together who were competent musicians, with a great friend of mine who's an international musician, and of course, a famous person. So they were drawn in their musicianship to play Schumann or Mozart or Beethoven, these great pieces of music that are harmonic orchestrations of all that we are actually speaking about. The science of music evolves out of that. Goethe said that all architecture is frozen music. And so when we get them together, suddenly the strife that they walked into the rehearsal studio experiencing, the hatred, suddenly there was a unified impulse as they began to feel the rhythm and the beat of their breath as they played their instruments in coherence with the musical patterns of rhythm and substance, that unification took place. And then, of course, this great man would give them to me, and I would work on, okay, we're going to find your note. So by the end of the hour's workshop, whatever it was, we were all hugging one another.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm going to get letters, I'm going to get flack right away because of something that's happened with you and to you. If we don't talk about this, I'm in trouble. Although you've done this mountainous work and you have the angels of Atlantis and you have all of these points and all this teaching, right now you've got a bestseller about Princess Diana. Would you please take us through that? I know that you actually worked with her personally. Would you give us a story how this book came about? Because this is thank you, sir.
Yeah.
That is something that, tell us all about that. People want to know this.
And I love the title, Voice of Change.
Oh. Yeah.
Beautiful.
To start with the woman, because you knew her.
It was a very unique commission, Lee, a very, very unique commission. I was approached in the early 90s when it was obvious that Diana was seeking freedom to explore her entrepreneurial and emancipatory, all of her charitable endeavor. And of course, things were beginning to empower within her, and she was moving away from the institution of the royal family. And I decided that I couldn't get involved not because I wasn't honored, but because there was a circus around her to do with the paps and to do with the stress that she was experiencing. And she had sought out many soulful empowerers like us, who, when they'd worked with her, they then went to the press and they sold their stories. Mm-hmm. And I just simply, that was not me. I didn't want to be part of that lack of integrity. So then in 95, the Martin Bashir interview took place, the BBC interview where she was there exposed saying, there are three people in this marriage, et cetera, all of the revelations that she provided. Yeah. And she watched herself on screen and realized that this wasn't quite the impact that she wanted to convey from a sort of physical instrumentational point of view, that she wanted help with her voice, because it was a very, very light voice, a voice of submission. And of course, she spent a lot of time looking out of the top of her eyes like this, mm-hmm. rather than being in full presence. Mm-hmm. And so again, I was brought back into the configuration of the possibility of working with Diana. And frankly, I was set up by a friend of hers who called me to have lunch, who had been a great patroness of mine, and had introduced me to some very well-known people around the world. So I, was very lucky working with these people. What an extraordinary experience. And suddenly, here was Diana, who grabbed hold of my arm, as we began lunch, saying, "You will work with me, won't you?" And I was so captivated by the absolute beauty of Diana that I said, of course, I will. And we had a completely confidential relationship. That was something that allowed her to be protected as we worked on the totality of her purpose, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, to release any of the detritus that was there to do with feeling herself to be a victim, to do with any of the entrails, so to speak, of the bulimia, or any of the rather gross victimization that she'd experienced from the establishment. And she empowered into what she called the queen of everybody's hearts. Mm. So the book is effectively the journey. It's a journey into her essence. Who was she, and why are we still talking about her?
Mm-hmm. Mm. And the book is must be quite amazing because it's taking off.
I think people are ready to hear the voice. I like what you said, her essence. Yeah. Because it's all of our essence that we carry and that stays behind on the planet when we go and changes the vibration of when we leave. Our footprint remains in Mother Earth Gaia, our essence. So I love that you talked about her essence. You want to tell us more about that?
Was she a spiritual person, for instance?
Oh, I mean, immensely. The book is a journey into the core spiritual essence of her being. Oh. And, I must tell you this, I'm so excited. I've been commissioned to write another book about her legacy as a result of the success of this. Great. But that's not what I'm getting. I'm meeting tomorrow the priest that was called to her body to give her the last rites in Paris, and who spent 10 hours in vigil with her being. Oh. Wow. And he has not given an interview until this moment.
That's going to be part of another book. That has to be.
I'm meeting him tomorrow through a translator who only speaks French. That's going to be extraordinary. So what I do is I answer the unanswerable and question the unquestionable. Mm-hmm. Who was she, and why did she have the effect that she had on us? Why did 3.9 billion people weep during those 7 days of doom, as the press called it, from August the 31st through to her funeral in September? Astonishing.
Well, one of the astonishing things that I know Lee would share with stages all over the world is when we talk about the impact of our emotion and how it can affect the magnetics of the grid, Lee would always quote those 3-point-something billion tuning into her funeral as a change of the vibration in the earth.
It actually was measured by satellites.
Yes.
It changed the actually strength of the magnetic. So did 9/11. So there's various things that did that, showing how consciousness is related to physics. Okay, I'd love to know more about where can people find you for the information you have, in addition to the book that you just showed, about your work.
Yeah. Well, of course, in respect, do in Rome, when in Rome, do as the Romans. There is the DianaVoiceOfChange.com website, which offers the richness of what that is all about. This is just the beginning of a project which will be called the Diana Heart Path, which will be a series of workshops all over the world for women and men to come, not men and women, but women and men, because this is all about the arousal of the divine feminine in our midst. Yeah. Women coming together in communion, constructive creativity, and co-creation. So the Diana Voice of Change website is freely available, and you'll see there's a Diana Voice of Change Facebook page and Instagram page. And then, of course, the angelsofAtlantis.com, which is a wonderful site for the angels. It's really a temple for them. And so all of the information, all of the events that I do are recorded within the Angels of Atlantis.
What do people find on your Angels of Atlantis website? Are there things to do? There's exercises? There's places to go? What happens there?
Well, the big question, thanks for asking, Lee, the big question always is, well, who are they? Mm-hmm. What are they? Yeah. And so when I say it's a temple to the angels, I literally mean that there is a program within the site where you can click on each of the 12 angels, and they have a separate web page where there is an illustration. Oh, by the way, remember they all came to me as orbs.
Yes.
So there's a great teaching about orbs, and I literally have photographs that I've taken of the angels displayed on separate pages. However, each web page is an illustration of the angel, a description of the angel, and meditations, affirmations, and prayers recorded all in my dulcet tones for people to really connect with, so that they can feel themselves embodying the vital radiation of these extraordinary beings of light to bring about vast change.
Wonderful. Well, you are giving our viewers a beautiful gift, and it's a meditation where you can become your own human angel. So if you are watching this broadcast with us for the first time, you'll see that in your chat, in the chat box, that special offer. And if you're watching the replay, you scroll down below the video, and that's where you will see that link to the special offer. And how absolutely divine for you to be giving us that special gift. I just love the idea of a meditation that takes us into being a human angel.
Stuart, I can give you the last word, and you have about 30 seconds.
We've spoken about some very refined and high-flown thoughts. What I'd also like to say is that this work is all about being embodied. So wherever you go in the richness of what I offer, and particularly, of course, in this wonderful book that I want everybody to acquire, it's filled full of exercises. It's filled full of meditations and affirmations, ways of becoming, allowing the wonder of the Logos, the great sound, to become fully embodied in our presence.
Beautiful.
Perfect. How did he do that in 30 seconds exactly? There's some training there, I know. Thank you. All right. I'm sorry to say that the interview is over, and it's been delightful to have you.
Yeah.
And we are now just going to go directly to a 10-minute break, and we'll come back with the Circle of 12. See you then. Hello and welcome back. Wow.